A tea? The family dinner. My dad yelled, "You have 2 days to get your stuff out. That house belongs to your brother." Now I didn't argue, just stayed silent and prepared. Exactly 48 later, when they walked in, they wished they had never stepped inside.
I'm Whitney Neal, 30 years old, an interior designer in Missoula, Montana. That night, our family dinner started like any other, plates clinking, my mom passing the mashed potatoes. I was laughing about a client's ridiculous wallpaper choice when my dad slammed his glass down, the sound cutting through the room like a knife. "Whitney, you have 2 days to get your stuff out," he barked, his voice cold. "This house belongs to your brother now." My fork froze midair. My brother, who'd been chasing big dreams in New York, hadn't set foot here in years. I'd poured my savings, $60,000, into keeping this place alive, paid the bank loans, replaced the leaky roof, bought every piece of furniture in this dining room. And now they were handing it to him. My mom avoided my eyes, fidgeting with her napkin, while my dad leaned back, arms crossed, like it was final. My stomach churned, but I didn't argue. I just nodded, my mind racing. They thought I'd roll over, pack up, and disappear. They had no idea what was coming. In 48 hours, they'd walk into this house and regret every word they'd said. I pushed my plate away, stood up, and walked to my room, already planning. They'd underestimated me, and that was their first mistake. If you're as shocked as I was, drop a comment below with where you're watching from and what time it is. Let's see how many of us are glued to this drama. The next morning, I woke up in our Missoula home, my dad's words still echoing. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling I'd painted pale blue 3 years ago, trying to make sense of last night's dinner. How could they just hand the house to my brother? I'd given everything to keep this place standing. Back in 2022, when the bank threatened to foreclose, I stepped up. My parents were drowning in debt, $60,000 in loans they couldn't pay. I was 27, just starting my interior design career, but I emptied my savings to cover it. Every cent I'd scraped together from late-night freelance gigs went to the bank, not because they asked, but because this house was my home. It was where I grew up, where I'd sketched my first designs on the living room floor. I didn't stop at the loans. The house was falling apart, peeling paint, creaky floors, a roof that leaked every spring. I took on extra clients, worked weekends, and poured my heart into fixing it. I chose the pale blue paint for the walls, soft and calming, to make the place feel alive again. I bought a new gray sofa, sturdy enough for family movie nights, and a flat-screen TV for my mom's favorite cooking shows. The washing machine was my idea too, after the old one broke and left us hauling laundry to the laundromat. Each purchase, each hour spent sanding floors or hanging curtains was for them, for us. I thought I was building something lasting, something they valued as much as I did. But my brother, he didn't care. Colt had left for New York 5 years ago, chasing some big banking job, dreaming of skyscrapers and stock markets. He'd call maybe twice a year, always rushed, promising to visit, but never showing up. When he did, it was all swagger, talking about deals that never materialized, suits he couldn't afford. My parents ate it up, hanging on his every word like he was some Wall Street genius. They'd brag to neighbors about his success while I was the one keeping the lights on. I'd overhear my mom on the phone saying Colt's doing so well as I scrubbed the kitchen counters I'd paid to replace. It stung, but I swallowed it, thinking my work spoke for itself. 3 years ago, when the bank called about the overdue loans, I was the one who answered. My dad sat at this same dining table, head in his hands, saying we might lose everything. My mom was quiet, her eyes red from crying. Colt didn't even pick up when I called him for help. "He's busy," my mom said like that, excused it. So I took out my savings, $60,000, every penny I'd saved for a down payment on my own place someday, and handed it over. The bank took it, the house was safe, and my parents hugged me grateful. But gratitude fades fast. Soon, it was back to Colt's calls, his stories, their pride in him. I'd walk into the living room, see the sofa I'd bought, the TV I'd wired up, and wonder why it wasn't enough. Last summer, I redid the dining room. I picked out a new chandelier, sleek and modern, to replace the flickering one from my childhood. I spent hours measuring, sanding, painting, making sure every detail was perfect. My mom smiled when it was done, said it looked fancy. My dad nodded, said it was nice. But when Colt called the next week, they spent an hour talking about his latest big deal. I stood in the hallway listening, my hands still stained with paint. Nice fancy. I'd rebuilt their home piece by piece, and they couldn't stop talking about a brother who hadn't stepped foot here in years. It wasn't just the money, it was the time, the energy, the late nights designing client projects to pay for this place. I'd come home exhausted, collapse on that gray sofa, and still feel like I was carrying the weight of this house alone. My parents leaned on me, but their eyes lit up for Colt. He was the golden child, the one who got away while I was just here holding it all together. And now they wanted to give him the house. The one I'd fought for. The one I'd made my own. My chest tightened. Not with sadness, but with something sharper, anger maybe, or resolve. They thought I'd walk away, let Colt waltz in and claim what I'd built. They were wrong. I sat up in bed, the pale blue walls glowing in the morning light. I'd spent years keeping this family afloat, but last night's dinner changed everything. I wasn't their daughter anymore. I was the one they used, the one they took for granted. But I wasn't done yet. I grabbed my phone, my fingers steadied despite the fire in my veins. I needed answers, and I knew who to call. By mid-morning, I called Lindsay, my best friend, needing answers. Lindsay picked up on the second ring, her voice calm but sharp. "Whitney, what's wrong?" she asked, sensing my urgency. I paced the kitchen, the same one I'd redesigned with granite counters I paid for, and spilled everything about last night's dinner. My dad's cold ultimatum, 2 days to get out the house, handed to my brother, still burned in my chest. I told her how I'd poured $60,000 into saving this place, how I'd rebuilt it while my brother chased fantasies in New York. Lindsay listened, her lawyer brain already working. "Something's off," she said. "If they're giving him the house, there's got to be a reason. Have you checked their finances? Any new loans, maybe?" Her words hit like a spark. Finances. I hadn't thought of that. My parents had always been cagey about money, especially after I bailed them out 3 years ago. "I'll look into it," I said, my mind racing with possibilities. I hung up and scrolled through my contacts, landing on Finn Walsh. I'd met Finn 2 years ago when I designed a waiting area for his bank branch in Missoula. He was straight-talking, good with numbers, and owed me a favor after I'd stayed late to finish his project. I dialed, my fingers tapping the counter. "Finn, I need your help," I said when he answered. I explained the dinner, my dad's demand, and Lindsay's hunch about finances. "Can you check if there's anything tied to my name?" "Loans, accounts, anything." Finn paused, then said he'd dig into it. An hour later, he called back, his tone heavy. "Whitney, you're not going to like this," he started. My heart sank. He'd found a loan, $60,000 taken out 6 months ago with my name on it. My name, my social security number, my signature. Except I hadn't signed anything. "It's a home equity loan," Finn said. "Your parents and your brother are listed as co-borrowers, but you're the primary. If it defaults, you're on the hook." I gripped the phone, my knuckles white. $60,000. Again. And they used me. Finn emailed me a copy of the loan agreement. I opened it on my laptop, staring at the scanned document. There it was. My name, Whitney Neal, in bold print with a signature that looked like mine, but wasn't. The loops on the W were too sharp, the tail on the L too short. It was a forgery, clumsy but convincing enough to fool a bank. The loan was tied to the house, the same one I'd saved from foreclosure. My parents and Colt had gone behind my back, used my identity to borrow money, and now wanted me out so Colt could take over. My stomach twisted, not just with anger but with betrayal. They hadn't just taken my money, they'd stolen my name, my future. I forwarded the email to Lindsay, who called back instantly. "This is identity theft," she said, her voice firm. "We can fight this, Whitney, but we need more proof. Check the house for any paperwork, loan documents, bank statements, anything." I climbed the narrow stairs to the attic, my pulse pounding. The attic was a mess of dusty boxes, old tax returns, and forgotten holiday decorations. I started with a cardboard box labeled bills, pulling out stacks of envelopes. Most were utility bills, but one folder caught my eye, unmarked, tucked under a pile of receipts. Inside were bank statements, none in my name, but one had a letter from the bank addressed to my mom and dad. It referenced the $60,000 loan, confirming payments were behind. Then I found a copy of the same loan agreement Finn sent with that fake signature staring back at me. My hands shook as I read it line by line. The loan was approved 6 months ago, right around the time Colt came back to Missoula, tail between his legs after his New York dreams crashed. It wasn't hard to piece together. He'd failed, needed cash, and my parents helped him by using me without a word. I sat back on the attic floor, the papers scattered around me. My mom's silence at dinner, my dad's cold certainty, Colt's absence. It all made sense now. They'd planned this banking on my trust, my loyalty. I'd spent years keeping this family afloat, and they'd turned my name into a tool for their own gain. Lindsay's words echoed identity theft. This wasn't just a betrayal, it was a crime. I gathered the documents, my resolve hardening. They thought I'd leave quietly, let Colt claim the house I'd fought for. But I had proof now, and I wasn't going anywhere without a fight. By noon, I was in the attic digging through family records for proof. I wasn't going to let them take what was mine. I grabbed a notepad and started listing everything I'd bought for this place over the years. The gray sofa in the living room, soft and sturdy, picked out after weeks of browsing. The flat-screen TV mounted on the wall, perfect for my mom's cooking shows. The washing machine in the laundry room, a lifesaver after the old one died. The cream-colored curtains in the dining room, custom-ordered to match the chandelier I'd installed. Each item was mine, paid for with my money, my sweat. I wasn't leaving them behind for my brother to claim. I opened my laptop and searched for moving companies in Missoula. I needed this done fast today, if possible. I found a local outfit, Missoula Movers, with solid reviews and same-day service. I called, my voice steady despite the knot in my chest. I need to move furniture out of my house this afternoon, I told the guy on the phone. He asked for details, size of the load, address, timeline. I rattled off the list: sofa, TV, washing machine, curtains, a few smaller pieces. Can you be here by 2? I asked. He confirmed, said a crew would arrive with a truck. I hung up, feeling a flicker of control. They'd given me 48 hours to get out, but I was moving on my terms. The doorbell rang, pulling me from my thoughts. It was Diane Burke, our neighbor from across the street, holding a plate of cookies. Her gray hair was pulled back, her eyes sharp with concern. "Whitney? You okay?" she asked, stepping inside. "You looked upset this morning." I hesitated, then told her about my dad's ultimatum, leaving out the loan for now. Diane frowned, setting the cookies on the counter. "You've done so much for this house," she said. "I remember you out here painting the porch last summer, hauling furniture in the rain. Your parents always bragged about your brother, but you're the one who kept this place together." Her words hit hard, not because they were new, but because they were true. Diane's support felt like a lifeline, a reminder I wasn't alone. I thanked her, promising to keep her updated, and she left with a warm pat on my shoulder. I turned back to my laptop and emailed the loan documents to Lindsay. My phone buzzed almost instantly, her name on the screen. "I got the papers," Lindsay said, her voice clipped with focus. "This is textbook identity theft. We can file a lawsuit against your parents and Colt for fraud. I'll draft a complaint, but we need to act fast to protect your credit and assets." I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. "What do I need to do?" I asked. She told me to gather any additional evidence, receipts, bank statements, anything tying me to the house's upkeep. I already had the loan agreement and the bank letter from the attic, but I'd check again for more. "We'll file by tomorrow," Lindsay said. "Once the movers clear your stuff, we'll lock in the case." I felt a surge of purpose. This wasn't just about the house anymore. It was about holding them accountable. By 1 o'clock, I was back at the notepad, double-checking my list. I walked through the house, marking each item with sticky notes: sofa, TV, washing machine, curtains. I added a few more: my bedroom desk, the lamp I'd bought for the hallway, the rug in the entryway. Every piece was a fragment of my effort, my life here. I wasn't letting Colt or my parents keep them. The movers arrived at 2, a 3-man crew in navy uniforms, their truck idling in the driveway. I pointed out the labeled items, watching as they carefully unhooked the TV, folded the curtains, and hauled the washing machine down the stairs. It was strange seeing the house I'd built up over years dismantled in hours, but it wasn't sadness. I felt it was clarity. I was taking back what was mine, piece by piece. While the movers worked, I called Lindsay again to confirm the lawsuit plan. "We're alleging identity theft and financial fraud," she said, her voice steady. "The loan documents are solid evidence, and your history of paying for the house strengthens our case. We'll demand the loan be voided and seek damages for the stress they've caused." I asked about the house itself, what would happen to it. "If the loan defaults," Lindsay explained, "the bank could foreclose. Your family might lose it entirely." I paused, picturing my parents and Colt scrambling. Part of me wanted to feel bad, but I didn't. They'd made their choice when they forged my name. I told Lindsay to move forward, no hesitation. The movers finished by 4, the truck loaded with my belongings. I stood in the now empty living room, the walls bare without my curtains, the space hollow without my sofa. Diane poked her head in again, her eyes widening at the sight. "You're really doing this," she said, a mix of awe and admiration in her voice. I nodded, managing a small smile. "They thought I'd just walk away," I said. "They're about to learn I don't break that easily." Diane squeezed my hand, promising to check in later. I locked the front door, the key heavy in my pocket. That afternoon, the movers hauled my things out and I felt a surge of control. By evening, the house felt empty, the movers gone. The living room, once warmed by my gray sofa and cream curtains, now echoed with every step I took on the hardwood floor. I stood by the kitchen counter, the loan agreement still in my bag, its forged signature burning in my mind. My parents and Colt thought they could erase me from this house, but I'd taken everything that was mine. The quiet was broken by the front door swinging open, followed by the thud of a suitcase hitting the floor. Colt stood there, his tie loosened, his face flushed with anger. "What the hell did you do?" he shouted, gesturing at the bare walls. "This is my house now, Whitney. Where's the furniture?" I crossed my arms, meeting his glare. "Your house?" I said, my voice steady. "I took what's mine, the sofa, the TV, the washing machine, the curtains. You know the things I paid for." Colt's eyes narrowed, his jaw tight. "You don't get to decide that," he snapped. "Dad said this place is mine. You're supposed to be gone." I stepped closer, pulling the loan agreement from my bag and holding it up. "I know about the $60,000 loan, Colt. The one you and Mom and Dad took out in my name. That fake signature, I'm not the idiot you think I am." His face froze just for a second before he recovered, smirking. "You're making this up," he said. "You're just mad because I'm back and you're out." I didn't flinch. "I have proof," I said, tapping the papers. "Finn Walsh at the bank sent me the agreement. Your name's on it too, but I'm the one they'll come after if it defaults." "You really thought I wouldn't find out?" Colt's smirk faded, replaced by a flicker of panic. He grabbed his phone, dialing our parents. "You're gonna hear from Mom and Dad about this," he said, his voice rising. "You can't just strip the house and walk away." I laughed, sharp and cold. "Walk away? I'm protecting myself. You and our parents committed identity theft. I'm not letting you take what I built." The doorbell rang, cutting through the tension. It was Henry King, our neighbor from 2 houses down, his flannel shirt tucked neatly into his jeans. He stepped inside, his eyes darting between me and Colt. "Everything okay, Whitney?" he asked, his voice calm but firm. I nodded, keeping my gaze on Colt. "Just having a chat with my brother," I said. Henry raised an eyebrow, looking at the empty living room. "Heard the movers earlier," he said. "Whitney, you've put your heart into this place. I saw you out here fixing the porch, hauling that TV in. Whatever's going on, I'm on your side." His words hit like a quiet anchor, grounding me. Colt scoffed, rolling his eyes. "This doesn't concern you, old man," he said. Henry didn't budge. "It does, when I see someone getting pushed around," he replied, staring Colt down. Colt's face reddened, his hands clenched. "You're pathetic, Whitney," he said, his voice dripping with disdain. "Always playing the victim, thinking you're the hero of this family. Mom and Dad know who really matters." I stepped closer, my voice low but firm. "If I'm so pathetic, why'd you need my name to get that loan? Why'd you come crawling back to Missoula when your big dreams failed?" Colt flinched, his bravado cracking. He opened his mouth to retort, but his phone buzzed, our dad's name on the screen. He answered, pacing as he ranted. "She took everything, Dad. The whole damn house is empty." I stood there unmoved as he gestured wildly, his voice echoing in the bare room. Henry leaned toward me, his voice low. "You don't deserve this, Whitney," he said. "I've watched you hold this family together. Don't let him bully you." I nodded, grateful for his support. Colt hung up, his eyes blazing. "Dad's furious," he said. "You're done, Whitney. You'll regret this." I held up the loan agreement again. "No, Colt. You will. I'm filing a lawsuit tomorrow, identity theft, fraud, the works. You and our parents can explain it to a judge." Colt's mouth opened, then closed, his confidence crumbling. He grabbed his suitcase, muttering under his breath, and stormed toward the door. "This isn't over," he spat, slamming it behind him. I stood still, the silence settling back in. Henry put a hand on my shoulder. You did the right thing, he said. Proud of you. I managed a small smile, the weight of the day lifting slightly. I grabbed my bag, the loan papers safe inside, and locked the front door. As Colt stormed out, I locked the door and drove to Lindsay's apartment. At Lindsay's apartment, I spread out the loan documents on her table. The forged signature stared back at me, a jagged reminder of my family's betrayal. Lindsay, her laptop open, was already typing, her fingers flying across the keys. We've got a strong case, she said, her voice steady with confidence. Identity theft, financial fraud, and your history of maintaining the house, it's airtight. We spent the evening finalizing the lawsuit, detailing every piece of evidence: the loan agreement from Finn, the bank letter I'd found in the attic, receipts for the sofa, TV, and washing machine I'd bought. By midnight, the complaint was ready, a 20-page document accusing my parents and Colt of forging my name to secure a $60,000 home equity loan. I signed it, my hand steady, knowing this was the only way to reclaim my life. The next morning, Lindsay drove us to the Missoula County Courthouse, a squat brick building downtown. We filed the lawsuit, the clerk stamping our papers with a thud that felt final. I stood outside, the cold Montana air biting my face, and felt a strange mix of relief and resolve. This wasn't just about the house anymore, it was about justice. Lindsay squeezed my arm. The court will see through their lies, she said. You've got this. Over the next few weeks, we gathered more evidence: bank statements showing my payments to save the house 3 years ago, emails from Finn confirming the loan's details, even a notarized affidavit from Diane Burke about my work on the property. My parents and Colt were served papers within days, and I could imagine their shock, their scrambling to respond. The case moved faster than I expected. By early spring, we were in court, facing a judge in a small wood-paneled room. My parents sat across from me, their faces drawn, avoiding my eyes. Colt slouched beside them, his usual swagger gone, replaced by a nervous twitch. Lindsay presented our case, her voice clear and sharp, laying out the forged loan agreement, my financial contributions, and the betrayal of trust. Their lawyer, a tired-looking man in a cheap suit, argued that I'd agreed to the loan, but the judge wasn't buying it. The evidence was overwhelming: the fake signature, the bank records, my years of payments. When the judge ruled, his voice was firm: the loan was voided, my name cleared, and my parents and Colt were ordered to pay court fees and damages for emotional distress. The house, tied to the unpaid $60,000 loan, was to be sold to settle the debt with the bank. I didn't stay to watch their faces. I walked out of the courthouse, the weight of years lifting off my shoulders. Lindsay followed, a rare smile breaking through her professional demeanor. You won, Whitney, she said. They can't touch you now. I nodded, the victory bittersweet. The house I'd fought for would be sold, but it wasn't mine anymore. Not after what they'd done. Weeks later, I heard from a neighbor that the bank had foreclosed, and the house was auctioned off for just enough to cover the loan. My parents and Colt were forced to rent a cramped apartment on the outskirts of Missoula, their savings drained, their pride shattered. Colt took a low-paying job at a local car dealership, his New York dreams long gone. My parents, once so quick to brag about him, now faced utility bills they could barely pay. My phone started buzzing the day after the ruling. First, my mom called, her voicemail shaky. Whitney, how could you do this to us? She said, her voice cracking. We're your family. Then my dad, his tone sharp with blame. You've ruined us, he said. You didn't have to take it this far. I listened to each message, my chest tight but my resolve unbroken. They'd used my name, my trust, to secure a loan they never intended to repay. They'd chosen Colt over me again and again, and now they wanted forgiveness. I deleted the voicemails one by one and blocked their numbers. Colt tried calling from a new number a week later, leaving a message that swung between anger and desperation. You think you're better than us, he said. You'll regret this. I blocked him too, the silence that followed feeling like freedom. Lindsay checked in regularly, making sure I was okay. You did what you had to, she told me one evening over coffee. They made their choices. I nodded, knowing she was right. The lawsuit hadn't just cleared my name, it had drawn a line. I'd spent years carrying my family, but no more. The house was gone, their finances in ruins, but I wasn't the one who'd forged the papers. I wasn't the one who'd lied. They'd built their own consequences, and I was done cleaning up their mess. Months later, I stood in my new apartment, sunlight streaming through. Walking through Missoula's streets, I felt lighter than ever. The weight of my family's betrayal, years of carrying their burdens, their lies, had finally lifted. I'd landed a job at a small interior design firm downtown, a cozy office with exposed brick walls where I sketched layouts for local businesses. My days were filled with color swatches and client meetings, each project a chance to build something new, something mine. My new apartment, a one-bedroom near the Clark Fork River, was starting to feel like home. I'd set up my gray sofa against a window, the morning light catching its soft fabric. The flat-screen TV hung on the opposite wall, wired neatly, a reminder of the life I'd reclaimed. I hung new curtains, navy blue, a fresh choice, and placed my old lamp on a corner table, its warm glow softening the evenings. Every piece, once part of the house I'd fought for, now belonged to a space that was entirely my own. I hadn't spoken to my parents or Colt since the lawsuit. Their numbers stayed blocked, their voicemails long deleted. I'd heard through the grapevine Missoula's tight-knit community was quick with gossip that they were struggling. My parents and Colt were still in that cramped apartment on the edge of town, scraping by on odd jobs and dwindling savings. Colt's car dealership gig barely covered rent, and my parents' pride had taken a hit. Diane Burke, my neighbor, had stopped by the firm one day to drop off a coffee. "People talk," she said, her eyes kind but serious. "Everyone knows what they did, forging your name, trying to push you out. Henry's been telling folks at the community center how you stood up for yourself." I nodded, grateful but unsurprised. Missoula didn't forgive betrayals like that easily, and my family's reputation had crumbled under the weight of their choices. I didn't dwell on their downfall. My focus was forward on the life I was building. At the firm, I took on bigger projects, a cafe redesign, a boutique hotel lobby, each one stretching my skills, boosting my confidence. I'd spend evenings rearranging my apartment, tweaking the layout to feel just right. The washing machine, now humming in a small utility closet, was a quiet victory. I'd fought to keep what was mine, and every piece in that apartment was proof of it. Sometimes I'd sit on the sofa sketching new designs and feel a quiet pride. I'd spent years pouring my heart into a family that took me for granted, but I'd learned to pour that energy into myself instead. Looking back, I saw the lesson clearly. I'd let my family use me, my money, my time, my trust, because I thought that's what family did. But loyalty doesn't mean letting people walk over you. Protecting your worth means setting boundaries even when it hurts, even when it's the people closest to you. I'd given everything to keep that house standing, only to learn they'd forged my name to take it away. Standing up, digging for the truth, fighting in court, walking away showed me my own strength. Independence isn't just living alone, it's knowing you can stand tall no matter who tries to pull you down. I wasn't the daughter who fixed everything anymore. I was Whitney, building a life on my terms, and that was enough.
After listening to today's story, perhaps it has raised some new questions in your mind, or maybe it has brought back some old memories. Every day on Reddit, new experiences and moments create fresh stories, and they connect all of us. Everyone has their own unique journey in life, and we all try to understand the world in our own way. These kinds of moments remind us that we are all human, sometimes happy, sometimes sad, and always learning something new. If you enjoyed this story, feel free to share it with your friends. Your thoughts and feedback are always valuable to us, as they motivate us to create even better content. Every story has its own unique angle, and our goal is to understand everyone's perspective and make our content diverse and relatable. Stories like these help us realize that life's journey is different for everyone, and by hearing other stories, we learn something new. You can also share your own stories with us. Your experiences are valuable to us as well, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave your feedback. We aim to create content that brightens your mind and gives you new ideas every time. If you've already seen this video before, your feedback is still important. With every piece of feedback, we can improve our content and bring a new perspective to our viewers. Today, what we saw was just a small part of the many stories shared on Reddit and across the world. It's a reminder of how we all try to understand life by sharing our experiences with each other. This video was only an example of how we try to connect with others through storytelling, learning about different sides of life. We hope to continue sharing such stories that help us all learn and grow together. Thank you for your time, and don't forget to keep an eye out for more stories coming soon. If you haven't already, please like and follow for more amazing content. Your support keeps us going, and we will strive to bring you more thought-provoking and heartwarming stories. Until next time, take care and stay curious. *.